Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to the Queen Mary this afternoon. And I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the Satin Dolls to perform the national anthem. Ladies.
Oh, sing, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, ladies. That was wonderful. I'm Commodore Everett Horden, and we're so happy to have all of you here with us to celebrate 70 years of peace and freedom since those troubled days of World War II. Now, what you're about to see take place here is a flyover with some vintage aircraft, and I'm going to start a bio about them, and they're probably going to arrive right about the middle of it, so make sure and keep your eyes peeled for them. The first plane is the Black Texan. It was built in 1944. It went into the U.S. Navy where it served in Pensacola, Florida, and outlying air bases from 1944 until 1957. This aircraft was equipped as an SNJ-5B, which was the gunnery trainer variant. The aircraft was originally equipped with 2 forward-firing machine guns, 1 aft-firing machine gun, and hard points on the wings for practice bombing. The SNJ Texan was the last airplane that a pilot in training would fly before going into fighter aircraft, such as the Grumman F-4F Wildcats, the F-6F Hellcats, and the Ford F-4U Corsairs. This Texan comes from aviator flight training at Cable Airport in Upland, California. They provide rides and training in this aircraft, as well as other classic and warbird airplanes. Piloted today by Daniel Watrin, who is an accomplished pilot and with flight instructor and has logged numerous hours training people to do what you're seeing today. You can check them out on Facebook.com Aviator Flight Training. Now, John Culver in the lead aircraft, the gray-green one, is a 1944 North American-built Navy Marine SNJ Texan, which was used in an advanced trainer in World War II, and later as a light attack aircraft in the Korean conflict. Over 15,000 of these planes were built. John's was built in Dallas, Texas, and was stationed right here at the El Toro and Miramar air stations during World War II. Equipped with a smoke system, John uses his Texan for air show work on the West Coast. John has over 15,000 flight hours and over 50 types of aircraft, including the Goodyear Blimp Columbia, formerly a pilot for the Northrop Grumman Aerospace Corporation and flight instructor. John now enjoys his career as a professional air show pilot. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the show. As we gather today on this massive and historic ship, the Queen Mary, so safe, so peaceful, so secure, so sublime, may we remember and celebrate the greatest generation of not only Americans and British, but all those who laid down their lives in the last worldwide convulsion known as the Second World War. What a strange, fearful, yet glittering time this was. What changes were wrought throughout the world and in the fortunes of so many families. We can be sure that those that cast their daily routines aside to fight the war were indeed afraid. Yet there is a fine line between fear and glory that brings out the best in the human spirit. I know an English war bride who is now in her 88th year that lived through the Battle of Britain in a town called Cheltenham. She tells me that they were so accustomed to the daily blitz by the Luftwaffe and its terror and death that they came up with a saying, if a bomb has your name on it, then, well, that was it. June Allen would survive the war and traveled to the United States in February of 1946 on the Queen Mary to be united with her American GI husband. I know a man that was just 15 years old in 1938 when fleeing Germany and the onslaught of the Jewish persecutions with his family, while on a train bound for Cherbourg in France to sail to America and freedom in the Queen Mary. The train was stopped at the Holland border, and the Katzensteins were arrested by the Gestapo because they did not have the red J stamped on their passports. Ludwig's father was sent to find a German official to provide the red J, while he and his mother and brother were locked up like criminals. It was ultimately obtained and the Katzensteins were put on another train, but precious time had been lost. It looked as if they would miss their sailing, and they knew if they did, then they would be returned to Germany. Ludwig's father, with great humility and presence of mind, cabled Commodore Robert Irving, the Queen Mary's captain, and told him of their family's plight. The Queen Mary's captain reacted with unprecedented kindness and humanity. Putting his own career on the line, he delayed the Queen Mary's departure from France by 6 hours and sent a car to meet the Katzensteins' train. 6 million other Jews were not so lucky. Ludwig Katzenstein, as a German American, would also fight with honor in the Battle of Iwo Jima. Yet another fellow I know, George Snyder, would fight in every European conflict from the beaches of Normandy to the River Elbe. He would be knighted by the French government for his bravery. Sir George and about 15,000 other heroes of the Old Hickory Division would return home to America almost 70 years to this day in the Queen Mary. This majestic ship is also a hero from the greatest generation. The Queen Mary rose from the ashes of the Great Depression to become the most popular passenger liner of the pre-war era, and indeed all eras. She would shoulder some 810,000 military personnel and steam nearly 700,000 nautical miles before the end of the war. She still holds the world's record for carrying more human beings in one vessel on an ocean voyage than any other ship in the history of man in the sea. In July of 1943, this ship sailed from New York with 16,683 souls bound for the European conflict. In 1946, she would bring 22,000 war brides to their new homes in the United States and Canada. Prime Minister Winston Churchill would say that the Queens, Mary and Elizabeth, had challenged the furies of Hitlerism in the Battle of the Atlantic. And without their contribution, the final day of victory would have been unquestionably postponed. As we celebrate here today, the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II, and remember the ultimate price that was paid by those of that greatest of generations that have now mostly gone before us, let us also remember that their DNA is alive within each of us, and their greatness lives in us. And though we happily stand in their tall shadow, let us honor them with our happiness and the way we live our lives, and pursue our dreams in peace and in freedom. May the spirit of 45 pervade upon this great ship, and our great land. God bless America. The Satin Dolls would please come back up for some more entertainment here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies, take it away.
Everybody, what you doing tonight?
It's hot.
Hope you're in the mood because you're feeling just right.
So hot.
It's about a corner with a table for two.
We've got
the music's mellow, it's a new rendezvous.
There's
a chance romancing with a blue attitude.
You know you've got to do some dancing to get in the mood. Hey there, everybody, we're indebted to you. It all goes to show what good influence can do. Never felt so happy or so fully alive. We're a jam and jumping, it's a powerful jive. Now we're gonna dance and sing and bounce off the walls. That's why we're here to tell you we're the Satin Dolls. Satin Dolls. We love you madly, Satin Dolls. We'll take you gladly, Satin Dolls. We'll drive you crazy, come on and have some fun. And we're the Satin Dolls. In the mood. That's right, you got it. In the mood. Oh yeah. Your ear will smiling. In the mood. Oh yeah. Oh what a vibe. My heart is full of rhythm and I'm in the mood. What you calling on you knew was fun.
I love you.
This time, don't be worse than heavy till they hardly could move. Now the light is feathers and we're right in the groove. You were only hungry for some musical food. You're positively, absolutely in the mood. This is what we're calling and we're indebted to you. It all goes to show what good influence can do. Never felt so happy or so fully alive. Seems the jam and jumping, it's a powerful jive. Singer is giving me a new attitude. My heart is full of rhythm and I'm in the mood. In the mood. Oh yeah. We love you in the mood. Oh yeah. Your ear is flooded in the mood. Oh yeah. Oh what a vibe. My heart is full of rhythm and I'm in the mood. Satin Dolls. Oh yeah. We love you madly, Satin Dolls. We'll take you gladly, Satin Dolls. We'll drive you crazy. Wanna have some fun and we're the Satin Dolls. It's time for the Satin Dolls.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Give it up again, ladies and gentlemen, for the Satin Dolls who sing as beautiful as they are. Before I invite the fellow up here that's going to close this ceremony here today, I'd just like to say that remember to live your life and the freedoms that we have today. And when you leave here, make sure and enjoy yourselves on the Queen Mary. You know, go to the observation bar, enjoy a meal on board, have a retail therapy. But just remember that those that went before us paid the ultimate price so that we could be happy and free today. Now it brings me a great deal of pleasure to introduce this gentleman, not only because he signs my paycheck, but because he's done so much to spearhead the attractions inside of the Queen Mary. He is a very gifted fellow, and we are so and truly blessed to have him on board this ship. So ladies and gentlemen, may I welcome up here Mr. Brian Llewellyn, the Director of Attractions.
That was a great introduction. Thank you very much, Commodore Horde. You definitely get another week's pay. Thank you very much for joining us, folks. The Queen Mary, as he's already mentioned, is a veteran. We do this every year. We celebrate the spirit of 45, and what we mean by that is the memory of the everyday heroes, both abroad and at home, that helped win the Second World War. We're celebrating the 70th anniversary of that, and as a solemn part of this ceremony, we always bring up a wreath to recognize those who are no longer with us. If we could please have a moment of silence.
School children to those science consultations, but every day Paris. The treatment is
very much, gentlemen. I'd like to thank the California Historical Group. They're the living history group that always comes out. I'd also like to thank the Satin Dolls. And of course, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us on behalf of Evolution Hospitality, the Garrison Investment Group, and the City of Long Beach. We're very proud to honor the heritage that we have as a veteran and as a part of the Second World War. And of course, we're always happy to remember the great and sad moments that are associated with that conflict. Again, you're welcome to explore the ship for the rest of the day. We thank you very much for attending, and of course, if you happen to be around the observation bar in a brief period, the pilots that were flying above us as part of the dogfight are going to be joining us, and they'd love to meet all of you. Thank you very much for attending, folks. Commodore Horde.
Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you next year. Cheers.